Okay, morning guys. So I'm hoping that you're doing okay. Let me just move a bit my camera. Okay, I think you can see me well here. So it's good to be able to see you. So how is your Sunday so far? So are you doing okay? So I'm hoping you had a good day. So here at this side, all okay. So been doing some work in the morning, and then probably gonna carry on in the afternoon. And I thought, why not having a quick discussion with us? So let me ask you a very quick question, right? Because some of you are already operating in Africa, or some of you are thinking of going right into the continent. So my first question for you would be: so do you know what are the risks that are associated with operating a solar business in Africa, especially in the commercial solar projects? So do you have an idea what are the risks that are associated with that? Because business is all about managing risk, especially if you want to make your profit. You want to make sure that you can deal with your risk correctly, right? So this is what we're going to talk about today. And one second. So, and I'm especially going to talk about three of the main risks that we see out there. So I'm hoping this is okay and fine for you. And for those of you who don't know me, so my name is Tony Tiu, founder and CEO of Renewables in Africa, your Africa clean energy champion, right? So, and it's great to be able to talk to you. Now, the question is, why is it important for you to listen to that, to listen to what I'm going to be saying? So, for the simple reason that, as I mentioned, so if you want to be making sure that your business is profitable as a solo entrepreneur, as a solar developer, an investor, whatever, so you want to make sure that you manage the risk. But how can you manage risk that you don't know? That's the question you want to ask yourself, right? So you certainly want to know that. First of all, if you are an established developer, this definitely going to help you to figure out what are the key aspects, the key risks you want to look at for emerging markets. That's what we're going to talk about here. So especially Africa. Or if you are a new player, want to come into the market, you want to know what am I going to look out for? What should I be watching out for? What are people usually will pay attention to? It's important for you, especially also when you're stepping in as a new player. And if you are already an experienced player, so you very much know the market, well, maybe what I'm gonna say gonna help you to confirm what you already had in mind, or maybe you can learn one thing or two. And the good thing is, feel free to drop a message. So send me a question in the comment box, and that'd be good. I already had a couple of you sending me questions before, so I'm gonna respond to that. And very briefly, before I start talking about those main risks, so just as a reminder, Renewables in Africa, so we are a digital media platform online. So what we do is to provide insight for you to raise your awareness about renewable energy. But on the other hand as well, so we very much as well a clean energy engineering company. So we worked over the last few years with lots of developers in the continent, right? And also investors. And the good thing is, recently as well, we've started developing our own project. And basically, what I'm going to be talking about right now is essentially what we're also experiencing. So this is why it's good to have this conversation together. So if you have any question at any point in time, please feel free to drop your question in the comment box, and I do my best to address it. Right? Okay. This is great. That's setting up the scene a little bit. So what are the main risks we're talking about here? I'm sure a lot of you would think about the country risk, right? That's usually what comes up in mind first. But I'm not even going to talk about that, because I would assume if you're already operating in the market, or if you want to go into the market, this is the obvious thing to do, the obvious first thing to do, right? To make sure that the market where I'm going, it's a good market for me to operate in. So it's stable enough, it meets my criteria, yeah, so on and so forth. So that I'm not going to talk about, but it's implied, right? So it's implied. So the first key risk I want you to talk about, if you don't know that already, is the off-taker risk. Yes, off-taker risk. Because when you're selling power to a customer, there is a number of things that you want to be checking regarding this customer. First of all, you want to be checking whether this customer is financially viable. Because let me explain why I'm saying that, especially for commercial projects. So very rarely what you have is people that would pay um, the solution as a straight purchase. Yeah. So most of the time, what they want to have a finance solution. So if you're talking about a finance solution, so that means you're going to be recovering your money over time, right? So here, in the case of the continent, so we're talking about usually between, I would say, between 5 to 15 years. Yeah, it can go all the way to 20 years, but let's be quite honest, it's still difficult to get people to sign up for a 20-year contract, and that's quite obvious, right? So the large majority of the countries in Africa are something like 60 years old. So right, so if you want to get them to sign a 20-year contract, that's like a third of their lifetime, right? So you can see why people are a little bit hesitant. But what we you would tend to see is between 5 to 15 years. However, even those 5 to 15 years, that's still quite a long time, because in the continent, what I know basically is, so when we're talking about loan that local bank are giving to people, usually what they call long term here, it's 5 years basically. So that's what you see as a long time, a long time a loan contract. So that's what I'm saying, that 10 to 15 years is already quite a lot. So essentially, you want to make sure that these companies are strong enough financially. If they're going to be your off taker, can they sustain the length of the contract, right? So you want to check that. That's important. You also want to make sure that this company will be able to perform their obligation, because if you get them to sign a contract with you, right, on a 10-year period, so you're expecting them, especially if you've gone through either a PPA route or a leasing route, which are usually the two business model that you will play with. Basically, you expecting them to pay you on a monthly basis. If on the PPA, you want them to pay you for the amount of solar of energy that you would have generated. And if it's a leasing, you would have agreed a monthly installment, right? And you want them to perform that. And you also want to make sure that they take care as well of the device that is either on their roof or on their land. I know you regularly have people that's going to be checking that yourself. However, they also have the duty to look after that. So this is what I call part of the off-taker risks. That's why for us, the off-taker risk is very, very key. In a nutshell, if you don't have a customer that is not, I would say, strong enough, I'm not sure you can have a great project, right? So that's the first thing I want you to pay attention to. Now, the second risk that we want to talk about here, it's the greed. Yes, the greed, because most of your model or your solution will be based on what is the grid tariff that is applied, and it varies whether you go from one country to another. For example, in Ghana, you have very high grid tariff compared to, for example, to a country like, I would say, Botswana or Mozambique, which are very, very low. They're also fossil fuel rich, right? So the grid, it's definitely one thing you want to be looking at. So the trend is for the grid tariff to go up, right? There is an escalation rate year on year. So that's what you would have assumed, and that escalation, depending on where you are, so it could be 5% or it could be 10%. It could be much more higher. It all depends. But the one thing you want to pay attention to, though, it's in some country, because of, let's say, the political will, this tariff can also come down. Maybe because there's elections coming up, and the political party in power at the time want to make sure that they are pleasing their population, and they can bring the cost down for a little while. So that would have an impact, obviously, on your business model, right? Definitely. So you want to look after that. You may argue and say, well, listen, Tony, if I already signed the contract with the client, the off-taker, that's not my problem anymore if things happen. Yes, but if your customer is not happy, so he may not be willing to pay, and he may be trying to bring up some, let's say, trouble for you. And also, if you've gone, for example, for a solution where you have a variable PPA that is in line with the grid tariff, that can bring some sort of disturbances for you, right? So that's what the grid, you want to be paying attention to that very, very closely. And for me, that's the second risk that I have identified, and you absolutely want to look at that, because most of the time, especially if you're talking about solar solution, all of the calculation is based on what's going to be the expected grid tariff, what's going to be the escalation rate going forward. Because even if you're in a country whereby the escalation rate in the past years has been, let's say, 10, 15 years, so are you going to go and convince a customer that for the 10 or 15 year going forward, year on year is going to be 10%? It could be a little bit hard, right, to get them to accept that. But this is something that you want to be looking at when you're developing a project. So that's the second risk that clearly I would identify. So the third risk, which is probably the one that is very tricky and difficult to manage, it's obviously the currency risk. Because whatever contract you're having, most of the time you're going to have a contract denominated in hard currencies. But people on the ground, they always will be willing to see you getting a contract in the local currency, which obviously most of the solution provider that I know will not be willing to do. Some may be willing to do that, but especially if they're local, if they're locally based. What am I saying? For example, if you're in South Africa, if you're a South African player, and your off-taker is a South African, so yeah, you can have the rent that you're using. But if you're using different countries, so the developer or the solution provider is from one country, from a foreign country, and the off-taker in obviously for local country, most of the time the currency that will be used is the USD. However, the way the off-taker, the client, will see that is always from the lens of what is his cost, right? And what revenue is he getting in what currency? So if I'm getting revenue, for example, in franc CFA, because I'm in no, franc CFA is not a good example because that's stable because it's pegged to the euro. But let's say, for example, in naira, right? I have revenues in naira, but I'm having a contract with you in USD. When the naira devaluates compared to the USD, so that means my obligation to you all of a sudden are a lot higher, right? So this is one of the other tricky things that would need to be that would need to be balanced. And for us, we definitely having to work around this and all the time. I can give you an example. I can't mention the name of the country or can obviously, but I can say that this is in Southern Africa, whereby we're discussing with a customer who is very interested by the solar solution. Obviously, what I've been put forward to him, it's interesting. However, what they are saying is they are working out from the revenue that they're going to be getting, and they wanted us to adopt an exchange rate which is a lot worse than what they have currently at the moment, because they're expecting the situation in the country not to improve in the coming months or year. Why? Simply because most of those economies have gone through COVID, like all of us are still going through COVID. And as you may guess, so a number of African economies will be slower to recover. Also for the simple reason that COVID crisis has started before most of the major nations, right? So, and obviously they don't have economies that are as flexible, as robust as you see in most of the Western nations, right? So clearly the economy will struggle for a number of years. So the currency risk is another big one. So these are, for me, the three risks that I can talk about. So just to summarize, so I've talked about the off-taker risk, which is one you want to be looking at. You want to make sure that you have a customer that is strong enough financially, a customer that is happy to perform his obligations, and a customer within the length of the contract that's going to be able to meet your requirements. And then you want to be looking at the grid tariff. How is the profile of that tariff over the lifetime of the project that I'm going to be rolling out, right? So is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? What is the escalation rate? And how does the customer feel about it, right? So this is what I want to plug into my model when I develop it. And the last part is the currency. The currency, what's going to be the currency situation? What has been the currency situation over the last 15, 20 years? And going forward, what am I anticipating? And how can I mitigate that to make sure that what I'm offering to people still make very much sense? So those are the three risks that I can definitely talk to you about. So I'm guessing because I can see there's a lot of people connecting. Thank you guys for that. By the way, drop in questions because I would love to respond to that. So some of you may be new in the sector and want to learn more about how to become a solar entrepreneur, solar developer. Let me just share a link with you here about a workshop that we are running, and we are running that multiple times during the day, every day. So yeah, so definitely click that. I'm just going to say workshop link. Yeah, and I can see there's a question already. Great, workshop link. Yep, I share that. I can see Fred. Okay, Fred, great. So let me also say Fred, because this is what I've done for the last couple of times. So oh, did I not share that? I don't see that. Hopefully you could see. Yeah, okay. So I was saying, Fred, because you're the first one to ask the question, right? So let's say that you're going to have the pleasure to win a 1 hour free advice with me, so that I can discuss a lot more into details. Obviously, if you are interested. So if you're interested, definitely make sure that you send me your messages as well after that. So your question is, can you please speak a little bit more about access to capital to implement solar project in Africa? Okay, so access to capital. So that's a recurring question that's coming on a regular basis. So I'm guessing you're talking about CNI market, right? So I would say otherwise just give me some more precision there. So I don't know why I can't. Yeah, I think the link, I don't know why it doesn't show that. Let me carry on anyway. So if you're talking about CNI market, so access to capital, so it depends as well in what country you are in. But let me just speak about that, generally speaking. It's fair to say that if you're talking about CNI market, access to capital, it's a little bit limited. So I have some precision here. Access to capital is not a problem due to the fact that most African countries cannot offer USD. That's absolutely correct. In fact, there are 3 capital markets in Africa. So you have obviously Johannesburg, and then you have Lagos, and to some extent you also will have Casablanca, and maybe a little bit of Nairobi as well. But obviously they are very, very small. And you're absolutely right. They usually cannot offer USD and euro denominated PPAs. So most of the time, what I have seen from our experience for the project we are working on, where we engage, because we usually work with investors that are our partners. So we will most of the capital will come from outside of the continent, and then invest into those projects that are inside. For the simple reason that local bank, clearly this is not a sector they're comfortable with pretty much anywhere, unless it is a certain size. Because if we're talking about CNI market, so you're talking all the way from I would say 200 kilowatt all the way to 20 megawatt. That could be the gap. And for many funders out there, so it's still very, very way too small. In fact, there's only few people that I know that really are interested by CNI market, but there are people out there, I would say. So the access, although it's limited, there are people definitely, I think, that would be interested looking at that. One way to make your case stronger, especially if you are a developer, is to have a portfolio. Let's say, for example, you're operating in one country and you can group project together. All of a sudden, you can move all the way from a 500 kilowatt, and you can create, let's say, a 5 megawatt portfolio. That's already can become a lot more interesting, and that can give you a better chance. And also, I also want to say that access to capital will be easier if your project is well structured, and that also centered around, do you have an off-taker that makes sense, right? If you have an off-taker that makes sense, that we know can pay, then it becomes a lot easier to convince people to invest into your market. So, to invest into your project. So that's what I would say. So obviously, if you're talking about bigger project, utility scale, access to capital is a little bit easier, because this is what most of the funders, especially foreign funders, would prefer, because I'm sure you heard it already. The bigger, the better. That's what we hear on a regular basis. However, those big projects are difficult to put together, right? So clearly there are some going ahead, but I'm just saying, so you want to be working quite hard to get them all together, whereby a CNI could be a little faster, because you're talking directly to a businessman. He has a problem, he wants to resolve it right now, and that's it. Whereby utility scale, you tap into the grid, and it's a little bit more complicated, and basically the end customer don't see the direct link yet, right? So that's what I could say very quickly. I can see Fred has been okay. So Namibia, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Botswana are the country we are trying to operate in. Okay, so if that's the case, if your potential customer are private industrial, I would say that's then you are in a definitely very, very good situation. Definitely reach out to me. You can reach out to me through LinkedIn, could I say, because you've been quite active. So I'm more than happy to give you a 1 hour of free session, so that we can talk about that a lot more into details. And if I can give you some advice as to how to access those capital, that would be great, because what you've mentioned to me right here sound rather interesting. Those definitely, Namibia is interesting, Nigeria for sure, Sierra Leone it depends, Botswana definitely, Gambia a little bit smaller, but it all depends who you're talking to and what is the size of the project. If this is the case, so it may not be as difficult for you to get access to capital, but then is also we then need to understand what is also your expectation, because it also falls around that. So what really are you expecting in terms of finance? So yeah, what is the expectation for you as a company? So we can definitely talk about that. So is there any more question? Oh yeah, I was able now to share the link, guys. This is for the link I've shared. Those are for people who, okay, I can see Olabisi who is saying, do you have any advice on how to partner with foreign collaborators? Also, the best source of equipment and post-installation support. So let me look at the first one. So advice to partner with foreign collaborators. Yeah. So the first advice for me would be there are multiple foreign potential collaborators that would love to work with local player, right? There are multiple. For the local player, usually what I have found is one of the big issues, the main challenge is the the way they structure projects and the way they structure as well their companies and also their expectation. So what I'm trying to say, for example, for collaborators, if you put yourself into the into his shoes. So when it comes, he likes to engage with somebody who knows what he or she is doing, right? You've done your homework. So let's say, for example, you telling me I'm developing a project and I'm looking for collaborators. So I'm expecting that as a foreign entity, I'm expecting that when I engage with you, definitely you have an idea of who is the customer. You would have checked that this customer makes sense. You would have, if let's say it's a ground mounted or utility scale, for example, you would have a potential land where the project is gonna be. You have started the procedures just to get all the different approval, and you also kickstart the feasibility of the project. Basically, you've done some groundwork. So if your expectation is, somebody from outside will come, bring in the money and do all the work, and you not going to do anything at all and not going to contribute, obviously it's not going to be a great start, right? So you clearly wants to, and that's one thing that I've usually, and that's what the course that I talked about, the workshop that we are doing. We are sharing some advice to people on how to properly structure a project so that it becomes attractive for whoever is coming from outside. If you don't understand that, then it becomes difficult for you. So definitely, Olabisi, I will advise you, if you got some time, just to go through the workshop. The great thing is we're running that multiple times during the day, and you can do it at as much as possible. So definitely, I would say make sure that you have a project that is well structured. Make sure that you understand exactly how to develop a project, and make sure that you would have done some initial homework, and where possible, you yourself have a budget for it, right? Because nobody will come and put in 100% of the money and you put in nothing. Right? You want to see what is your skin on the game. And if you're saying that what you're bringing is sweat equity, no problem. Make sure that everything you spend on that project, you are keeping a track of it so that you can show to people, listen, this is what I have invested, and this is what is being used. Because sometimes people will say, hey, I don't have money, but I've done this and that, so I wanted to consider as sweat equity, but they have no evidence to show that they've actually spent any money on anything, right? And it becomes difficult for people to trust you, right? And when you talk about money, evidence matter, yeah? So your second question is, yes, what typically are the most competitive differentiators between companies? My planned market is Nigeria, domestic and small. Okay, the most impactful competitive differentiators. So I'm not sure I fully understand what you mean, but let me at least give you some give you some input if that can help you. So if you are talking about what's going to make you as a competitive differentiators between companies, if it's from the customer point of view, obviously I'm looking for somebody that's going to give you the best tariff, but at the same time going to give me the best service, right? Because tariff is one thing, service is another thing. Because if you're talking about most of the time solar solution, we're talking about a lifetime of about 20-25 years. And as a customer, when I'm embarking in you on this adventure, even if it's 5 years, I want to make sure that, okay, once I've paid you whatever I need to pay you, you also hear from me. Because as a customer, all I need is power to run my operation. That's really all I need. I don't need to become an expert into solar. This is not what I'm about. For example, if I'm running a cement factory, I'm already way too busy running my cement factory. I'm already having way more problems running that. I don't want to become an expert into solar. In fact, all I need is I'm paying you, you're giving me the service that I need, which is power, and I can run my operation. So pricing definitely is one of it, but also service, and maintenance is another one. So that's definitely what's going to play a difference here. And also, people the more flexible you are with customer, they better as well. They will like you. So if you offer them different options, because some people will say, hey, I'm only going to give you PPAs. Others will say, hey, I'm only going to give you lease, right? And so basically, if you flexible and you understand your market and you can put yourself in the place of your off-taker, your customer, then you're going to do well. That's a couple of advice I can give. So say, I conducted a survey. The vast majority want cheap stuff, typical, yeah, and quality. They don't always agree. I'm hoping to, yeah, you're right. People always want a cheap tariff, low tariff. Let's say it's your job to educate them as to what really your offer is all about, so that they understand that over the lifetime, yes, because the challenge for renewable is actually capital intensive and is capital sensitive, meaning that there is a higher amount to pay at start, right, compared maybe to other fossil fuel solutions. But if you've done your design well, over the lifetime, you virtually have nothing to pay if you want, right? So you may be, an idea, for example, could be, you could be saying to one of your potential customers, okay, maybe if I'm giving you an offer at the moment where the tariff is slightly higher than the cost of the grid at the moment. However, what you need to pay attention to, right, the grid. We know, for example, the grid has been escalating over the last 5-10 years. It's just going to carry on. So what I'm offering here, depending how you structure your pricing, obviously, is either something that has a fixed tariff, or there is a fixed tariff, but an escalation rate that's also fixed, meaning that for the coming 10, 20, 12 years, you know how much you're going to be paying, so you can budget it. Whereby with the grid, you don't know. Today is 5%, tomorrow 15%, the next day 20%, you don't know, right? So basically, you're removing that risk from them. That's what I call the grid, the risk associated to grid tariff, right? You're giving them peace of mind so they can plan ahead. And surely over time, over the lifetime, they're going to be making savings. And also, once you have a solution, yes, you're paying higher amount now, but you look at how much you're going to be saving where you have virtually nothing, very, very low cost for OPEX, for your operational maintenance, compared to, for example, if you have a diesel genset, you're going to be you're going to service them, every is that 2,000 hours. You're going to service them about that. You're going to pay for the diesel, the fuel, and it varies at the moment. I know it's actually going higher and higher. So you have to find some sort of good good explanation like that you can put across to them, and be patient, because it's also because they don't properly understand the sector, right? And they've not seen that before. So be patient with them and explain to them. Use graph, and that's going to help you. So hopefully that gives you some ideas. So is there any additional question? I can see a lot of other people have joined. So Fred, so with the ongoing cheap power coming from fossil fuel, how can solar compete? Oh, this is okay. In Nigeria, for example, so Nigeria, it's a country whereby the base power is actually generators. Yeah. So you could pretty much discount the power coming from the grid because it's way too unstable. So people are using generators. And most of the time, when you're using generators, right, solar will be able to compete. Yes, you have the cost of fossil fuel that are going to, because obviously, I'm sure you're also talking about gas here. Yeah, the cost of fossil fuel, it's cheap. So you want to look at what is the lifetime cost, including OPEX. That's what I'm saying here. Don't just look at the cost today. You want to look at over the lifetime. So yeah, over the lifetime, and make sure that if you compare, this is what would be for me comparing apple to apple, right? Because a solar solution will be operating for the next 20 to 25 years. You may have a situation where somebody signed, for example, a PPA with you for 5 years. Yes, maybe for 5 years, it may be paying slightly higher than what an alternative solution would be. But after 5 years, for the next 20 years, he pays virtually nothing for the solar that he's getting. Yeah? So all of a sudden, if you not compute that, you can tell me what will look attractive. So that's the sort of 360-degree approach that people need to be looking for them to make sense. I know, Fred, you're saying that the Nigeria canceled the 14 solar projects. Okay. Well, I'm aware that they canceled 14 solar project. I don't want to put huge focus on Nigeria, because, to be quite fair, Nigeria is not the only one to have revisited those tariffs. To some extent, is also to reflect the international market, because when those PPA were signed in Nigeria, the tariff agreed was 11 cents. $11.5 precisely, I believe, right? If you're looking at the international market at the moment, that's probably on the higher side. Most of the time now, you get PPA tariff. I would say a good one is between, I would say, 7 to 9, right? So that's one of the reasons Nigerian government has wanted to revisit that. I don't want to go into too much of polemics there. Yes, I understand that. Obviously, if you're a developer, we are a developer, it puts you into a difficult situation. Yes, those are utility scale projects. But what I'm saying is, actually, if you're looking at CNI, for example, there are opportunities there. It all depends how you tackle. Yes, not everywhere the situation will be rosy, but clearly there are spots. And I'm saying that because Nigeria, for example, there's a lot more. The CNI market, for example, is a growing market in Nigeria as I'm speaking at the moment, Fred. So that's why I say, if you look at that, you will see people are exploiting the market as we're seeing right now. So that means there are opportunities. It all depends where you're looking. So, and that's what I was saying. So if the focus is on the utility scale, yes, it's going to be difficult. You're going to involve with politics. You're going to involve into a social program and so on and so forth, because we need to keep the electricity very low for the citizen. For businesses, the situation could be a little bit different, because a business needs to operate, and without power, business doesn't operate, and business will close. So that means then the discussion is a little bit different. So you want to look at where are you looking. So yeah, so I think, Fred, I've discussed, I've talked about those fossil fuel and subsidies in Nigeria. As I say, I don't want to put a huge focus into Nigeria, because Ghana has done the same, revisiting PPAs. And I know at the moment, Kenya, for example, the president recently has set up a committee to review as well some PPA that was signed between government and developers. And usually when there are those reviews, very rarely, if not, we've never heard of tariff going up, usually coming down, right? So we should expect that some of those tariffs, especially on the higher side, will come down. I'm just saying, yeah, so government would tend to do things like that. So this is something that we need to factor in. Clearly, for me, if you have a PPA that is 11, 12 cents, and you have not started operating just yet, it's still a potential risk, I would say, to some extent. Okay, can you please speak about the African free trade, which started? So the African free trade started in January. So it has been ratified. It's meant to be implemented since January. Okay, it started in January 2021, because initially it was meant to be in June 2020. Because of COVID, it was pushed back. You're right. Now, it's always about how much of what is really applied, let's say, on the field. And as far as I'm concerned, it's still early days. So I don't see a huge impact at the moment into the market. However, I am expecting that there will be, there would be definitely an impact, meaning that it will be easier for a developer to move from one country to another, because obviously you have the custom barriers that will be either completely removed or maybe adjusted, make it more attractive. So I'm expecting that, and I'm hoping that it's gonna boost the opportunities for even local developers, because one thing that we also seen into Africa is that the internet market, it's not very well developed. I'm talking about cross borders market, right? So most of the export market is a lot bigger, a lot more significant than the internal market. And I'm hoping that the African Free Trade Agreement, AFCFTA, will unlock it. That's what's meant to be. But I would say the devil definitely is in the detail. So once we have a better clarity as to what are really the rules, because you have things like rules of origin that needs to be dealt with. So once we have a bit more understanding on the rules, I'll be able to let you know. As far as I'm concerned, I've yet to see a proper impact just yet. What do you advise with regard to setting up companies with, what country? Okay, so as I say, Fred, so I can look at that into detail. So you say, what country do you want to set up SPV for? One quick, I'm just going to give you a quick response before I move to a lawyer. So countries to look for, I would say, again, my usual response to that is it depends on what is your risk appetite and what is that you're looking for, and also what side of the industry you operating in. For example, if you looking at utility scale, it won't be the same if you're looking at CNI. It won't be the same if you're looking at solar home system, right? So it won't be the same if you're looking at mini grid. So that has to be clear in your mind, because the market would be different whether you have one region or the other. So when I was talking about also the risk appetite, because you have countries with huge potential, but they're not necessarily the most stable countries, right? So just to give you a particular example, so everybody's interested by DRC. It's a huge country, a lot of wealth that we know, but it's a country. This is not which is not easy to penetrate, right? So the difference, if you're going to go, for example, to Namibia and Botswana, those are richer countries in the continent, but obviously the market is a lot smaller, or the potential is not as huge. Yeah. So same thing, we're talking about Nigeria, we're talking about Algeria. So as I say, it depends what is your risk appetite and what is that you really looking for. So it's difficult for me to give a very general response just like that. So Loye is saying, do you? Yeah, I think we're probably going to wrap up quite soon, because I think I've gone a lot more than a lot longer than what I anticipate. But by the way, thank you for connecting. As I say, for people that are interested to find out about our workshop, you can. That's the link there. I'll just add it again. Yeah, and make sure, please, that you subscribe to our channel, leave comments, and yeah. So that's how we can have regular live like that, where I can give you some advice for free. Yeah, so most of the time we won't do that. So do you offer financing for PPA project? We have a pipeline that so Loye, so with our partners whom we are working with, yes, we can provide financing, but it all depends really how your project look like. So we will want to see definitely a deck or project information, just to have a bit more understanding what are you talking about here. So feel free. So as I say, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. So you go Tony Teo on LinkedIn. So you reach out to me and I'll be able to share my email address. In fact, I can give you my email address here, so it may be easier. So it's Tony at renewablesinafrica.com. Okay, yeah. You guys can write to me there. So you have a question. So yeah, so the answer to that is yes. So, but we want to have more details about the project to see whether it's interesting for us to get involved into. Yeah. So Igwe, hey Igwe, how are you doing? Good to see you. So how do you hedge against currency risk with devaluation, inability to evacuate funds, especially in Nigeria? Can we? Okay. So you have companies. Obviously, I won't give free publicity to them here, but you have companies that effectively specializing in hedging currency risk, whereby you can offer PPA in local currency, and then obviously signing up for sort of insurance that's protecting you from the volatility, and ultimately the pricing that you will be charging the customer will tend to be higher than pricing that will be denominated in hard currency. Why? Simply because you are compensating from the fact that you have additional costs coming from the hedging, right? So okay, so okay, somebody, so yes, they are companies. So Igwe, yes, I definitely, as I say, if you reach out, so I can share a couple of people that you know. So all of you are saying we'll be in touch. Brilliant. That's great. That's great. Yeah, excellent. So I have Elibati, Raphael. So okay. Oh, okay, Raphael. Happy to join. Yeah, definitely. So okay. I have Tabisang who's saying Igwe probably mentioned is the same everywhere in Africa. Yes, we have we have currencies that are very, very volatile. Sometimes I'm joking with people, you know, you complaining about cryptocurrencies, but hey, if you look at African currencies, we have we're already used to that. So if you take, for example, the Mozambican metical, right? If you look at the variation of a 6 months period, you know, you can see variation from 20 up to 40%, right? That's cryptocurrency like. So yeah, it's something. So clearly there is huge potential in Africa, but it comes as well with certain risk that you need to absorb and you need to factor in your business model. So yes, I have to be clear, you have to do it. So yeah, but a lot of people making money, so if you know how to operate. So I have Lillian saying, I'm Reverend Sister Ambassador Dr. Lillian. Great to see you, Dr. Lillian. Please, can you send me your training manual? Alternatively, can I get in touch? Okay. So Lillian, Dr. Lillian, I think I've shared the link. If you will see there. So the link is there. I would definitely say, if you click into that, you have our workshop that we're running every day on multiple time. We just wanted to make it accessible, because when we had fixed time, we know sometimes people find it difficult to free themselves. So that's why we decided to provide a solution whereby people can do that as and when they wish. And if people want to go even further, obviously we have a course that is sort of teaching people so how to become a proper solo entrepreneur and making worthy for them. Yeah. So great. So that PKS, I have a project team, Help for Africa Through Sustainable. Okay, Emmanuel Western, willing to connect with you. So yeah, PKS, same thing. Because I can see people have been dropping me details there. Guys, I may not be able to get all those details from here, but I would say please reach out to me on my LinkedIn. So connect with me, Tony Teo. So there's only one. Yeah. So you connect with me, you drop your message. And as I said, so I also have given my email address here. I'm just going to write it again. Tony at renewablesinaafrica.com. Yeah. So you can write to me, and then I will make sure that if I can't jump into that myself, somebody from my team will have a look at that. And then if we, first of all, one thing I can guarantee to you, I can't promise that I can get involved in your project, but I can definitely promise two things. One of it is we respond to every email always. Yeah, even if it takes a bit of time because I'm extremely busy, but I always respond to email, even if it's a little bit slow. The second thing, as I said, so we have the workshop that is available there for people that want to go through that. Feel free to do so at your own time. Yes. So and this way you can get some of the learning that we do. And also, as I say, we have these frequent. Obviously, as you understand, we are business. Not everything is free, but we have free channels. Like for example, this YouTube. If you connect to it on a regular basis, right? So you will see all the videos that we cover. So we are doing our best to cover different aspects of the job that may be interesting for people, and also general knowledge for you to get a background. Yeah. So if you subscribe, if you make sure that you press the bell, you have regular videos like that. We also have different platforms, right? We have Facebook, we have LinkedIn, we have Instagram, we're also on Clubhouse. As I say, we also a media platform, so you have a newsletter. So there's a lot of information that are available for free for some of the people. And for people who wants to go further, as I say, this is where we're doing the workshop, and people definitely say, hey, this is for me. I want to become good, very fast. I don't want to take the 6-7 years that Tony took just to get to the stage. Hey, as I say, we have a brilliant course for you. Yeah, so that you can go through. And I think I've gone. Let me just check that. Fred said I've been following Tony for some time, and he's very. Oh, thank you very much, Fred. I think thank you for the very kind comment there. I really appreciate it. So, and I would say it's when we are connecting with people like you, I can see a lot of you are connected today that support us, and it gives us the drive to keep going forward, because we want to get electrification to 100% by 2040. Yeah, this is a vision, right, for Africa. And the more we get people involved into the sector and understand how to structure projects, where to go to develop those projects, and how to make their business sustainable and for them to make money while providing that electricity, the better. And electricity is directly linked to economic growth, right? Without power, you do nothing. Just as simple. Without power, I can't even talk to you today, right now, right? So that's how important it is. So, okay, so PK said we're based in Delhi, India. Enjoy. Okay. Oh, good. Brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, I think there is no more question that I have that I can see. So I'm probably gonna bring it to an end. But thank you very much for connecting today. It was a brilliant session. I really enjoyed myself. So okay, just when I want to go, there's one question. Nasir said, hey, Tony, I have a project on ground integrating solar and wind. How can you assist? So how can you assist in achieving my goal? So how can I assist? Hopefully already today I'm giving you some free advice on how you can develop project and how you can take your project forward, looking at different aspects, right? This is already how we can assist. Now, as I say, I'm also going to be honest, I can't promise that I can get involved in any and every project. That would be not possible, because these days we are very solicited by lots of people. And then and also, as I say, we also want to make sure that as a company we stay sustainable, because we not a charity, we're not getting money from anybody, we're a business like anybody, so it has to be sustainable even for us. Otherwise I can't be here talking to you. So Nasir, I would say to be honest, you can write to us, tell us what your project is about. We can see if we can assist. However, as I say, We have our various platforms on social media. We have our workshop, and we have a course that we put together. And we are hoping people at least can get some information to go where they want to go and to get to where they want to get to. Right. So that's what I can see. And as much as possible, we want to be doing a weekly live, right? Either once or twice a week. It all depends. It also depends how many of you are connecting. Because today there are lots of you. That's great. The more people you are bringing, the more we can do that. We can see that yes, there is a demand, and we can also do our best to make sure that we give you as much value as possible, right? And also, when you write to us, tell us what is that you want us to talk about. You want me to talk about, because I come up with a topic, but maybe there's other aspect that you want to explore. We can do that, right? So that's what I can do. Okay, so this time around, so I really have to to stop here because I have other things to do. I love you, but obviously I gotta be spending some time with family as well. After all, it's Sunday. But again, thank you very much for connecting. Brilliant session. I really enjoyed myself, and I'm hoping that I'm going to see you next week, many of you, and I'm sure we're going to keep on engaging on various platforms, because sometimes I do that on YouTube, other time on Instagram, and so on and so forth, right? So yes, that's the end of it, guys. So as I say, have a blessed day, a fantastic day, and may the sun be with you guys. Thank you.